Greetings, Star Warriors. Welcome to the Outer Rim. Recently, I took on Rian Johnson and Carrie Poppins. The internet spoke, and many of you had very positive things to say about what I had to say. Of course, there were those who either defended the movie, defended Carrie Poppins, or they had issues with my understanding of physics. Some of those people misunderstood something I said. Maybe I didn't make myself clear. Others came to troll, and so on. Although I will say there was something in that video that I did get wrong. Some people were aware enough to point out that Kylo Ren was in fact not in one of the walkers that attacked Luke Skywalker's projection. Kylo Ren was in fact inside the shuttle. And that is my mistake. This is what happens when you vow to only see the film once. But I will just lay on top of that the fact that whatever Luke can do to the walkers, he can also do to the shuttle. Okay, but moving on to the other issue, Carrie Poppins. My argument was not necessarily that Carrie Poppins would... It's going to be hard to stop calling her that. That Princess Leia would be dead in that scene where she went out into space. I was focusing mainly on the fact that the director, Rian Johnson, claims that her ability to fly through space was, in fact, not very powerful. And here's my problem with that. It's hard not to call her Carrie Poppins now. Leia was hurtling through space at untold miles per second. Under any circumstances, for her to stop that motion and redirect herself is a huge feat. Now, hopefully that part of the physics part of the argument is out of the way. There were other arguments that people made, which I find strange, but here we're going to go and focus on those for a second. Some have come to me and made the claim that the Force is all-powerful and it can do anything, and even Rian Johnson made similar claims. During a random Twitter debate, I believe it was random anyway, a audience member made the claim that he didn't feel that the new Force powers displayed in this film were set up very well. And the person he was debating tagged Rian Johnson, for some reason, and Rian Johnson read and responded. And here's his response. I should stay out of this, but were any aspects of Force use in the OT, Force-grabbing objects, Force ghosts, even the Jedi mind trick explicitly set up before they happen? I'll take my answer off air. And then he excuses himself from the conversation. So, in essence, Rian Johnson is there is saying the Force can do anything. Because none of the Force powers were ever set up, especially zapping people with Force lightning or the Jedi mind trick. And the ignorance of that statement really, really worries me for this man. I mean, I know he has to defend his decisions, but there's no logic from a storytelling fictional standpoint in anything he said there. The Jedi mind trick was set up in the very first movie. There could be no setup before there is a story there. Rian Johnson is creating new levels of Force ability in the 8th movie of a saga. What he is really saying here is that Force powers, no matter how grand or unbelievable on into the future, need no setup. How ridiculous. No one should have to explain this to a person making millions of dollars for directing a billion-dollar movie. I would first like to preface this by saying that whether or not the Force is all-powerful, the people using it are not. They can't do anything. For there to exist a character who can do anything defeats the purpose, any purpose of watching the film. and caring about the story. If the Force can do anything and the people using the Force can do anything, why don't they all resurrect their best friends? Why doesn't Princess Leia resurrect Han Solo from the destruction of Starkiller Base? Why doesn't she go out there and do what Luke did, so that neither of them would have to die? You know, as far as astral projecting herself, she wouldn't have to do it very far. I have my clear doubts that the Force is all-powerful, but even if I gave you that argument, the people using it definitely are not. For the new Disney Star Wars to actually head in that direction at all retroactively discredits the previous films the same way that using hyperspace to ram one ship through another discredits previous films. And that seems to be the course of action that Disney Star Wars is taking. Disregarding rules set up in previous films in order to do what? I don't know. I guess that's what they call making Star Wars grow. I just don't understand. I mean, growing past rules that were set up in the films just does not seem... If they weren't popular films, I could see that. But we're talking about pretty much the most popular films in cinema history. If it isn't broke, don't fix it, because if you try to fix it, you stand the chance of breaking it. I'm sure you've all heard that these movies were pulled out of cinemas in China before the end of their third week. China is the second largest box office market in the world. So this is a huge deal. The Force Awakens made over $120 million in China. This movie is said to have made less than $60 million in China. 50% less. Or more than 50%. I'm not sure exactly what the final numbers are from China, but it's looking bad. And I can't say that. I'm pretty sure Carrie Poppins had something to do with that fact. And to the people saying that the Force can do anything and the people using the Force can do anything, what will you be saying if Rian Johnson or any other director decides to make all Jedi, or any Jedi at all, capable of becoming a giant green rage monster? Will that be okay with you? Will your excuse be that the Force can do anything and you should just enjoy the film and shut up about it online? I'd really like to get people's answers on that. If you agree with me or disagree with me, tell me in the comments below and tell me why. But as always, if you are listening, you are the new rebellion. 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 You are the new rebellion.